Hey guys, welcome back to Hey It's a Good Life. Today is a garden tour and it's a family affair. We've got our little co-star and co-director here because let's be real, she's the one who calls the shots these days. So I'm so comfy in here. And behind the camera we have Tommy.
What's up?
And overhead we've got the crows. They're actually pretty helpful. They like to alert us when the hawk is nearby, which is kind of a good thing. But anyway, want to invite you guys into our garden. We've got a lot of different things happening right now. We'll take a tour of the garden. We'll tour the hugelkultur beds, give you an quick update on the worms, and an update on the greenhouse as well. So come on in and I'll show you what's going on in the garden. So a lot of you guys ask, what do I have growing on this trellis? And this is a form of Blackeyed Susan. It vines, and it's one of my favorites to have in the garden. But the predominant plant on this arch is actually nasturtium. And here in California, it grows like a weed. It is so wonderful to have this plant growing on this arch because it offers a lot of greenery and shade. But it's also something that you can eat. The leaves are edible as well as the flowers. So you can make nasturtium pesto out of the leaves. You can add flowers to cake decorations, to salads. So it's a really versatile plant and it's something that grows really well. So it's nice to have it on our arch. And I love this plant as well, although I'll probably be transplanting it elsewhere just so it doesn't have to compete with the nasturtium. So this is bed number 1. And if you follow me on Instagram, which shameless plug, you should be following me on Instagram. We can hang out there every day together. I actually got this bed planted out with her in this little Solly baby wrap, which was incredible. So I was able to plant out a bunch of things. We've got lettuce, kale, spinach. This bed is the newest bed and we are just waiting for these things to grow. Something that I'm really focusing on this year is not only getting the entire garden planted out, but also on this thing that I've learned a lot about recently from my boy, Charles Dowding. How much Charles Dowding have I watched since having the baby?
All of it.
I've watched probably every single episode. Oh, it's so nice. I love it to be able to learn from somebody who's been doing this for so long.
Meow. Meow.
Sometimes the cats cry more than the baby. It's kind of insane.
Yeah.
So anyway, here in this bed, we've got lots of things growing. Right here, we've got all sorts of chard. This is actually a berry bush, Schwartz and something from Baker Creek. I'm gonna see how it does here. I've planted it in a couple different areas in the garden. This is Black Magic Kale, I believe. It's one of the only kind of like specialty kales I'm growing right now. This is white polar bear zinnia. And up here we've got all sorts of kale. I believe this is Scotch curled leaf. And right here we've got Toscana kale. So I really love this kale. Another kale I love is the Scotch curled, but if I had to pick, I think it would be this one. In front of it, we've got golden beets, which I'm so excited about. I love golden beets. And over here we've got green beauty peas, which I like to train over the side and on the side of my garden beds, and that's how I make the most of my space. So a lot of you guys ask, any space saving tips, and I say grow up and grow on the sides of your beds if you can. So these are green beauty peas, and come on over here so we can show them the bloom. So these are green beauty peas, which I grow sometimes on the sides of my beds in spring just to maximize space, and these are really the only peas that I'll grow now because I love the blossoms, but they also taste wonderful. They're one of those things that it's rare that makes it inside to the kitchen. Right here I've got some sunflowers planted. This is a Velvet sunflower from San Diego Seed Company. And down here is a Mongolian sunflower, which I've saved from seed from my garden last year. Right here in the front, this is bed 2. This is the left side of the garden. I've got ruby queen beets, and I planted these when I was pregnant with her, thinking of her. And I love beets. You can actually eat the leaves as well as the root. So kind of a versatile plant as far as edible plants go. In the middle, I actually have no idea what was planted. This was planted by my friends Jess and Jill, and it looks like it's a root vegetable actually. Let's see what's happening underneath. Oh yeah, what is that? Oh, is this a swede or a rutabaga? No, what is this? Guys, I have no idea what this is, but it's a root vegetable of some kind. Maybe it's kohlrabi? Yeah, I really don't know. But again, just practicing that kind of like permaculture, co-planting. I've got lots of sunflowers here in the middle that will mature as these plants get taken out. We'll have more mature plants, and then planting some of the ones that I'll be starting in the greenhouse here soon. This is a lettuce jungle. I had one of these rouge de vert. I'm not saying that correctly. I'm not French. I don't claim to speak French. But this was one plant last year that self-seeded itself into the garden, and now we have a garden of lettuce that I need to basically donate to our neighbors because we're certainly not going to eat all of it. Here's an example of something else that I've been practicing, which is starting a bunch of seeds in one tray and then transplanting them out. And I'll show you an example of something that I did that with that you guys were like, what? You can do that? These are onions, which I'll be planting out soon.
Okay.
All right, so now on the other side of the bed, you can see that this is my bok choy, I think it was. Was it bok choy? I don't know. It kind of looks like it's related to broccoli almost as these flowers come into bloom, and I'm sure that it's really bitter and not tasty to eat anymore. But I figure why not let it go to seed and save some of the seeds. I'll probably rip some of these smaller plants out and plant something else there while I let this one grow seeds for us for next season.
Okay.
All right, so again, we've got another example of planting in a spot in the garden to see how this plant does. This is that Schwartz and something berry that I told you about earlier. And on the other side of that, we've got calendula, which is a wonderful plant for so many things, really great for skincare. And in fact, we've got a really special version of that growing in another part of the garden. I can't wait to show you guys what it looks like. It's strawberry blonde calendula, and it's so beautiful. All right, moving on to bed number 3 here. This is the thing I was really excited about this season. Like I said, I've been practicing sowing a lot of seeds in a small area just to make the most of my small space. And what I did was I sowed a bunch of carrots in about 4 different containers late last year, I should say. And a lot of you guys were like, what? You can transplant out carrots? And I was like, yeah, my friend over at San Diego Seed Company showed me that, yes, you can. And I was kind of skeptical, but as you can see, the carrots are doing really well. So, give you guys an update on that. Let's see if I saved the labels. So this is another French variety called obtuse dupes. I'm probably saying that totally wrong, but this is a French variety. We'll see how it does here. And in the center here, again, just promoting that co-planting, promoting diversity in the garden. We've got some nasturtium, which I hope will spill out over the garden beds and just be a really inviting, lovely plant to have. Behind, we've got the lettuce jungle, and we've also got a bunch of radishes, which were radishes that I planted out from a container. So again, just experimenting, always learning, always growing. And here we've got one of the sunflowers that's growing the strongest and the best. This is a Mongolian sunflower from last year that I saved from seed from my own plant that volunteered right behind me. So we'll keep going, and I'll show you guys the long 14-foot bed. All right, so this is the 14-foot bed, which, by the way, if you don't know, I've got garden plans for this available for you guys on my blog. So if you're looking to build your own garden beds this spring, this is a really easy way to do it. I would almost recommend doing it without the legs. I added them to make them taller to be easier on my back, but I don't know that it saved my back a whole lot. So anyway, just food for thought. If you need some garden bed plans, I'd definitely check ours out. Tommy actually drafted them up in CAD and has measurements in there and everything for you guys, so feel free to check those out on the blog. But right behind me, I've got some Bloomsdale spinach. Which does really well in our climate, does really well in the heat. And I've also got some, I believe this is called Butter Crunch or May Queen lettuce, which makes these beautiful little leaves that are great for taco night or just a salad. My grandma loved salads with butter crunch lettuce. It reminds me a lot of her. And those are growing really well back there. Next to that, we've got some more kale, which we need to eat up before it gets any hotter here. We're again, San Diego, zone 10, so it's going to be getting really hot really soon, and we're going to lose some of that sweet taste to the greens here real soon. So we need to eat this up and enjoy it while we can before it gets any more bitter. Moving on, I think I actually planted this for you. I think this is one of our black radishes. Let's see. Oh, it's something, but it's not a black radish. I don't remember what this is. It looks like a radish. Do you guys know what this is? It looks white. Is it a white radish? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below because I didn't label it. So there's that. But this is actually, it's already getting hot here, and you can see that based on the fact that these radishes are going to seed. I think radish flowers are really beautiful. They're actually edible, so you could also add these to a salad or to be a decorative item on a cake or something. They're really beautiful, and they've got this pink little hue to them. They don't really taste like much. They kind of taste like radish. Alright, so moving on to one of my favorite plants. So this is one of my favorite plants that's growing in the garden right now. This is strawberry blonde calendula. It's seeds from Baker Creek, and these make the most beautiful blooms. And as I'm sure a lot of you guys already know, calendula can be great for skincare as well as healing remedies, home remedies, but it's also just stunning to look at. I love the colors of these blooms. And beyond it, we've got some peas. So I promised you guys I'd show you what those peas look like earlier. This is what a green beauty pea looks like. I usually eat them at this stage. This is a good add to a stir fry stage. They're so, so, so good. They're really, really sweet. Tommy's doing some ASMR for you guys.
ASMR,
Aren't those good though?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get a more mature one. This is a slightly more mature one, and I think it's just so fun. I look forward to the day where she can be out here with me and exploring this stuff together. But I just think it's so fun to open this and to see all these beautiful peas inside. I mean, isn't that just gorgeous? It's nature is so amazing. And now I'm going to eat it. Okay. Again, another plant that I've left in here too long is this monstrous breakfast radish.
It's a big breakfast.
So you can see it's getting ready to go to seed. I'll probably end up taking it out and planting something else there in its place. I really don't like radish, so I don't really need to plant them in my garden. But that's okay. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't grown radish, because prior to that I've never grown or eaten radish. So I planted some, figured out I don't like them, and that's okay. And we'll wait for this plane to go overhead because it's really loud. Alright, now this is one of the less planted areas of the garden right now, but we've got some more nasturtium here, which I'm hoping will billow out and be really beautiful here really soon. Make sure she stays covered up from the sun. And next to it, we've got some volunteer tomato plants. I have no idea what these are, where they came from. I'm assuming a bird enjoyed some tomatoes last year and left me a little present here. And I've got 2 volunteer tomato plants, which I think I'll actually end up repotting these elsewhere, because I don't think that the tomatoes are going to do really well here under the shade of this tree as the tree fills in. So we'll see. It's going to be like a surprise tomato. I have no idea. And again, I've planted in another spot of the garden some more of those berry bushes just to see how they do in this section. Alright, and the last bed in the garden is this bed. I call this the Jill bed. She planted this. It was the least attacked by birds or critters, and so it's the most prolific at the moment. And as you can see, we have so much green produce growing right here. And if you've never had lettuce fresh from the garden, I mean seriously, I don't know if you can tell from the way that it even moves. It's just so soft. It's so different from anything you can buy in the store, and it's so easy to grow. So if you're thinking about growing anything this spring, I would say definitely try some leafy greens, because they're really easy to grow and they're really delicious as well. Still good, not too bitter yet. And then beyond it, we have something growing that I can't remember the name of, so I'm going to pull it up and you guys will have to tell me. Turnips? Help a sister out. I can't remember what these are called. They're white and purple, and they're from Baker Creek.
It sounds like a turnip.
It's a turnip, right? Is it a turnip?
I don't know, but it's really tiny though.
This one is really tiny. We've got some bigger ones. I didn't want to sacrifice a bigger one for my show and tell experiment. And then beyond that, we've got some Swiss chard and some more sunflowers that I'm waiting to grow a little taller here. Sunflowers do really well in this bed later on in the season, so I'm hoping that planting them now will yield big, beautiful sunflowers later on. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, these are my experimental hugelkultur beds. We built these beds last year together and showed you that even with minimal skills, minimal know-how, minimal tools, you can build garden beds. It's absolutely possible, even with just cedar fence pickets. I'll link that video up above. Inside these beds, I've got 5-gallon pots that I filled with wood that I found behind our house that was free, and potting soil, as well as topped off with some compost and mulch. And I'm growing some Mongolian sunflowers, which will be transplanted elsewhere somewhere very soon. I've also got some nasturtium growing, which these are some of our first blooms this season, which is really exciting. And again, just experimenting with that berry bush just to see, does it do well in this climate or in this environment? Because I really am new to growing berries and I don't know anything about the plant, so we're just experimenting with where does it do best.
Right, go.
Welcome to the mobile greenhouse. If you don't know that video, I'll link it up above. I built this greenhouse with my own 2 hands with wood that I found on the side of the road. It's like the coolest story. It's one of my favorite God stories, but I really love this greenhouse because it will be able to go with us when we move, unless we sell it and somebody wants it. But it's pretty neat. It's a little loud sometimes. I can grow a lot of plants out here, which is really nice, and as you can see, most of the plants have recently been planted out, but we do have some left up here. And here's an example of starting carrots in a container and then transplanting them out. One of the cool things about doing that is you can select which ones are doing the best and remove which ones aren't as strong. But again, it's still very experimental here, so I'll be sure to get back to you after we know how it turns out here in the garden. I think that's pretty much it. To give you a quick update on the worms in the pollinator garden, we'll call it good. Alright, this is my worm farm. I'm a worm farmer. You can be a worm farmer. I've got some quick start guides and an ebook to help get you started. Nothing really fancy. I inherited this system from my friend Steven over at Nature's Always Right. I kind of redesigned the setup to be more ergonomic and a better situation for our small space. And I've got it here under a tree just to provide some modulation, is that the right word? Moderation from the sun and the elements. And the worms are doing well. I'll give you guys a more in-depth tour and update on that really soon. But yeah, this is my worm farm. I keep it here, and we're going to be harvesting a lot of castings from that this season and making a lot of worm tea. And I'll link those videos on how to do those things up above. Oh.
Okay.
All right, and before the little one wakes up, here's a quick update on our pollinator garden. I like to keep this bird bath full of water as best as I can for our birds to encourage their visitations to the garden. They definitely help with our pest control. And here I've got planted a form of salvia, I believe. I cannot remember the name exactly, but I absolutely love the color. The color is just so stunning on these blooms, and it invites all sorts of things from butterflies to hummingbirds to, did I say butterflies? Butterflies, hummingbirds, bees, they all seem to love this plant so much. And yeah, that is our garden tour update for you, family edition. Thank you so much for joining us today, you guys. I know this has been kind of a different video. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for watching these videos. When you like, comment, and subscribe, it helps our channel grow, so thank you in advance for doing that. And if you still want to participate in the 10K giveaway, definitely join us. All you have to do is sign up for my newsletter, and I'll be setting that up here very soon, you know, as I can, between taking care of a little human and keeping a home and running Hey It's a Good Life. So thank you so much for being here, you guys. Really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.